Hi, Stormy. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sarah. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. I love this show. It's so good. It's one of my favorites, a really good comfort show. How does it feel to be returning to it?
On a comfort show? What is wrong with you? This is like stress and like anxiety and excitement and like, yeah, it's
Ah,
like a roller coaster ride.
definitely a roller coaster ride, but you know when you kind of just want like just some good hearted reality TV show kind of thing when you get home and you snuggle in and you want to like follow the journey, and that comforts me.
Okay.
How does it feel returning to this show?
It was so awesome to come back. So the first time, obviously, for season one, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I had never met the producers and everyone from Daddy TV. I had never hosted a television show like this before. And so I didn't really know what I was doing. I think I can say that for all of us involved, we didn't really know. That was the maiden voyage, you know.
Mhm.
But this time, you know, I was familiar with the crew, the concept of the show, how it worked, and we made it bigger and better. And going in this time, being more comfortable, having worked with everybody and understanding and just being more excited. I think that the season two is so much better than season one. Um, and it was really great to go back into it with that comfortable feeling so that I could be more creative and let things flow. And but then on the other side of that, it was completely different because what you don't take into consideration when you work on a television show like this is it's not like a scripted television show where it's
Mhm.
everybody coming back playing the same characters. It's a whole new cast, and you don't know what's going to happen. And the season two, the contestants were couldn't be more different than the ones that we had in season one. It was just a whole new ball game. So you think you know what you're getting into, but as usual, Daddy TV, you have no fucking idea.
Yeah, and like already a twist and turn in the first episode. I was like, what? Just
I
like,
know. And the thing I like the most about this one, I think, is same thing for the contestants, the people who signed up, is they had most of them, if not all of them, had seen season one.
mhm.
And that's a double-edged sword because one, they knew what the show was about, they were comfortable about how they were going to be portrayed, they knew what a big show that it was. But on the so I think that in a way they were more authentic and we got better people who were there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that, I think some of them watched the first season and sort of maybe have devised some plans to how to win. And so I had to stay really on top of them this time. Which is this, I mean, and this is the only environment that I can say I got to be on top of some gay men.
I was going to say, because one of my questions is, you have such a lovely way with the contestants, and there's such like a kind of natural camaraderie that you have with them. Do you get to meet them beforehand? Like, how much do you get to like talk to them before like the game starts?
So I don't meet anyone beforehand. I mean,
Mm.
I'm talking like mere minutes before we call action. Um, Artie and Topher are very mean. They do not let me see the photos, which I'm convinced that they get a lot of nude entry pictures and they're not. And I would like to lodge formal complaints at this moment about that. But I know nothing. I don't know what their names. I don't know where they're from. I know literally nothing until we start rolling. But you're correct. As we start filming and we're all living in the same house, it's hard not to develop some sort of relationships. As a matter of fact, from season one, I still stay in contact with two or three of them. When I was over in England this past summer, actually Charles came to one of my appearances and we got to hang out.
Oh,
Yeah, so I do. It's hard to live in a house with people who are putting their heart on their sleeve. Well, they're not really wearing sleeves most of the time, but they're not really wearing much of anything most of the time. But you know what I'm saying. So
yeah,
it's those ones who are very genuine and authentic. It's those relationships seem to carry, and I keep up with them.
yeah. I absolutely I love that, and I love how this show is like the concept just was like a really beautiful springboard to talk about like body image and like self-doubt and like all that kind of thing that
Big
is
one.
quite. Yeah, absolutely. And I was wondering like how you navigate those more emotional storylines with your contestants because it is fun, but then you like you said it, you get into like the kind of heart of these people really beautifully
It's
on the show.
I think it's important that we use this opportunity and this platform to discuss those things. Like you said, consent and body image and diversity and things that affect all of us, just not the gay queer community. And so for me, that's probably, this is the boring answer, but that's probably, if I strip it all away, the best part about being on the show. Yes, hot, oiled up, naked men are amazing. And I like to Me Too the fuck out of all of them. And it's fun and all of those things are great. And I have a great time doing all of those. But at the end of the day, the part about doing this show that is the best for me is that I have this opportunity to talk about these really important things. And I praise the gay community and the queer community after I did this first one, because everyone can learn a lot about how these men were so open about talking about these subjects that I know personally most straight people never have these conversations. They never talk about boundaries and consent. I know I keep bringing that up, but boundaries and pleasure. Like they're so open about what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy. And I thought that was really cool and beautiful. And I hope that a lot of my straight fans watch the show because they want to see Stormy, but take away something very educational from that. So yes, we have to navigate all this fun, hilarity, games, laughter, ridiculousness, but also these very sensitive, important subjects. And not just those subjects, but the individual mental health of each person on the show. There is a lot of trauma that gets brought up, whether inadvertently for some, or some use the show as a catharsis to really talk about these things openly and use the platform for themselves. There was a couple of people on the show this season that came in wanting to publicly talk about these issues. And then there was some other instances while filming that I think we inadvertently dredged up some trauma and some issues. And you have to play that really carefully on the show. You don't want to exploit anyone, but you don't want to take away their voice either if they really want to talk about this. And you also don't want to stick your head in the sand. And that all kind of falls upon me as the host. And yes, we have professionals on set. We have, counselors there. We have all the right things. But at the end of the day, who's everyone looking at? Me. So I also have to watch out for myself a little bit. I don't want the headline to be Stormy Daniels is insensitive to, this person's whatever. But
that's so true.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of stress, but the fun stuff definitely outweighs the stress and the hot boys. There's
always helpful. Always helpful. I was going to ask because you brought up a really interesting thing about like reality TV show and how you protect the contestants, because there's been so many reports of like reality TV show exploiting contestants and putting them through grueling times, and like how does like this production like differ in that respect?
So I have been on a couple of productions. I haven't personally had really bad experiences. Came close to a really bad experience. I was attempted to be ambushed on a show unrelated to this one that shall remain, and I walked, and I've had it happen almost every single day in the form of media, not necessarily the show, which in that instance it's clickbait. And stuff will be spun and reworded or re-edited in the case of video or television for clickbait, just to get views. It's it's not the truth. It's spun. It's disgusting. I saw an article about myself not too long ago, and the person who interviewed me had a fantastic interview. It seemed very above board, and the questions were great, but it was all respun, and the headline had nothing to do with what the interview was about. And that seems to happen all the time. And that was my big trepidation about doing the show in the first place. Like as a matter of fact, when my agent was like, "Hey, what about this?" I was like, "Pass." And then he's like, "Oh, actually, I've talked to the Daddy TV, and I really think that you'll hit it off with them and just do a Zoom meeting." And luckily, I did revisit it, and I did say yes. Otherwise, we would be sitting here now. But I will say that this show was very different. There was no intentional spinning or exploitation, no ambushing. Now, of course, things develop that are, you know, sensational, and people go off and do shady shit, and we're going to call them out on it. But we don't, I was never witness to any form of just throwing gasoline on a fire or purposely traumatizing someone to get ratings, because that is gross and disgusting and a huge problem with mainstream media and journalism today. And I live with it daily, and it drives me absolutely bonkers.
Beautiful answer. I also was wondering, for me, watching the show feels quite revolutionary because while you do have like the hot himbo men, you have like these different types of bodies with the daddies. And as like a big girl, I don't really see that. You don't really see that in like straight led dating shows. And it just feels like this show is very revolutionary in that respect. Do you feel like this is a concept that could like reach out and touch like you know the kind of Love Is Blind, the women and then the women shows?
Hope so. I mean, I hope so. That goes back to what I was saying, is I hope that people take a page out of this show's idea. You know, like you don't see mainstream television shows or straight dating shows, reality shows with that in it. And I was always like, we think we know everything, but the gays, they've got it together, and not just their hair and makeup. Like they got it all together. And that's one of my hopes for this. That, you know, it's not, you're not put into a box based on traditional beauty, according to mainstream media. Like I get teased, like I think when you look at my social media, and all the trolls and things that they come after me for, one of the things that they say the most is they call me old. So they've been calling me old since I was 24. So I'm just like, I don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And jokes on you, women don't reach their peak until right about now. Strap on, boys.
Game on. We've got some really deep questions, and I feel really bad ending or like sort of somewhat ending on like a really frivolous one. But I love your outfits in the show. Like every single one you came out on, I was like, oh my god, iconic.
Okay, so you want to hear something funny?
Yes, yes.
Normally I dress like a 12-year-old boy. Like I'm not joking. And I had to buy all of these dresses and stuff for season 1, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And so for season 2, which is obviously bigger, better, more pizzazz, more sparkle, Artie was like, Stormy, we have to have a conversation. And I was like, what? He goes, you need better dresses. And I was like, traumatized, because first of all, you got me in a dress to begin with. Yeah. And not just a dress, lots of dresses. So the season 2, I was fortunate enough, they were very generous and gave me a shopping spree with Fashion Nova. So all the dresses are Fashion Nova. But I had to have a conversation that I needed more sparkle and a makeup artist. I did my own hair and makeup for season 1, and I did my makeup today, and you said it looked good. But I needed to be like more sparkle, and Artie made me wear dresses. So I think that I deserve a bigger raise, but I digress. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, because I was left to my own devices and told to buy more sparkle. And I thought half the time I walked out, I looked like a fishing lure.
You looked amazing. Looked like a wife who suspiciously might have murdered her husband, kind of like
oh, I like that. I like that. I've just started shopping now for season 3. So as I'm scrolling through my online shopping, I'm going to say, what would Sarah pick if she was going to bury her rich husband in the backyard?
Yes, definitely. Well, it's time's up, but thank you so much for talking with me today. You've been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. And I hope you like the show. I can't wait to see all of it. They won't even let me see all of it.
Oh my gosh, I hope you enjoy the show. Like, it's honestly really great. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, you guys.